Good evening. This is Jargal Defacto with me, Jargal Saikhan. I will continue from today a weekly de facto review about important events in Mongolia happened last week. This review is about the last week event, the last week of February 2022 happened in Mongolia. Unfortunately, this review is happening at the time period in between Ukraine and Russia. It's very unfortunate that the two nations are having war now. I have been spending 7 years in Russia, many times visited Ukraine, many cities. I have friends in both countries. And it's very sad to see what is happening, how people are dying there. To me, war is not a solution, because war means loss of human lives. And I hope that this war will be ended soon. So now back to our topic. Mongolia is travel-free now. It was announced by the Prime Minister Oyun-Yerden 10 days ago on February 14. The Prime Minister announced that the level of restrictions because of COVID downgraded from orange to yellow. No restriction will be imposed on business operations. Mongolia fully opens its borders for international travelers, of course advising wearing face mask and keeping social distance and getting vaccines. Mongolia is one of few countries announcing that earlier this travel freedom due to a successful vaccination program. 92% of the country total adult population, which is target group, have been fully vaccinated. They got 2 jabs. While 52% fully vaccinated with 3rd shot, and 90,000 citizens got already 4th shot. However, COVID is not finished, as all around the world as well. By today, we have infected 465,000 people, which is 13.6% of the 3.4 million population. Death, we have 2,168, which is 0.4% of total cases. The world is 1.4%. Mongolia has 3.5 times less death compared with the statistics. Today, new cases of coronavirus, mostly Omicron, is about 350 a day, which is quite less compared with the peak 2,700 cases a month ago. So this restriction announcement comes because vaccination, as I said, because until vaccine was created, Mongolia had no cases of COVID-19 cases. As any country, economy suffered a lot. Exports halted, the transportation of freight slowed down, schools became unable to organize in-person classes. Businesses closed down and some 200,000 jobs opportunities were put in risk. That's the reason why we have to announce this country open and the business is open. Mongolia is open for businesses. You know, as last year, Mongolia for the first time saw economic decrease growth stops and even goes to minus 5.3%, second time after 1990 democratic revolution. But however, it is revived now as the things go back, business go back, and so we hope for better tomorrow. Our second topic is about development bank drama. You know, this bank was established in 2011 to finance longer-term projects, infrastructure, mostly projects, that a government, a budget cannot finance. And they're supposed to find cheaper money and finance longer-term projects. And there was even Korean development banks, one of the successful cases. Half of the development bank in the world have faults, but the Korean successful case, and we have invited Korean development bank management team to Mongolia for 4 years. But unfortunately, in a year and a half, the Prime Minister Tung Hoyak that time, in 2013, had canceled the agreement because the Prime Minister found that Mongolians had learned what they are supposed to learn, which unfortunately was not the case, which is shown in the current drama around this bank. This bank had financed a few projects, total 74 loans only, but out of that few projects, 53% now were non-performing loans. It's quite terrible because if the non-performing loans comes more than 7% or 5%, it's already alarming. And this one has 53%. Out of 1.8 trillion Mongolian Tugriks loans, 1.1 belong to only 5 entities. They are not paying the loans, though they got the benefit from the loans implementation. These projects are: one, QSC got 200 billion MNT for railway projects, and they have completed the project, but not paying. Second, Hutulko, which got 300 billion MNT for cement production capacity extension, which they did, but not paying. The third is TUSK, is a state-owned housing corporation, got 200 billion MNT for housing project in Boyentuha, nearby old airport. They have completed, but payment is not coming. The fourth is New Yarmak Housing Company, who got 100 billion MNT for housing project. They have done the project, they are selling apartments, but they are not paying. And the fifth one is Mongol Dry Milk. This company got 100 billion MNT, but they have not done this factory at all. Yet this development bank has to pay $800 million bond payment at the end of next year, 2023. Mongolian government made guarantee for all the loans that the DBM got in the form of bonds mostly. The Mongolian government, in case of their default, they are supposed to pay, and they will pay. But however, the government of Mongolia has no money. It has even no budget capacity. It will ruin all the rational rate of budget of Mongolia set by the law. The other reason is because COVID, Mongolian government spent 15 trillion MNT for economic revival. So that's how, even they have no money at all. So that's the only reason why all this drama had recently come up. Now it's going with a lot of noises, voices, arrests, etc. There are only 3 ways in the world with such a bank like DBM in such a situation. First, the government sets usually asset management corporation, basically meaning buying all bad assets, but government has no money. Second, direct sales of all bad collaterals with cheaper price. The third, government increases equity, owner's equity. The government is owner of this bank. They increase owner's equity, and then from that money, they decrease the bad loans by the risk fund of the bank. So the 1 and 3rd is not applicable in Mongolia because there is no money. So the only remaining one is sales of collaterals with undervalued prices. However, all these 5 projects in particular are politically connected, including the largest bank owner, the president of the country, previous President Patpulga, and the previous prime minister. Even the 4 largest commercial banks of Mongolia have received loan. We cannot believe in that. They received the money with cheaper interest rate, and they have been further borrowing or lending the money with higher interest rate, kind of money laundering. This is the case. And people are so unhappy with this case. That's why the I don't think there will be unrest, but a lot resistance among people about these cases, in particular with those politicians who are connected with this bad loan. Several cases are transferred to the court. And the court usually takes years in Mongolia, 5 to 6 years. And unfortunately, as soon as the court starts, the interest rate is stopped. And can you imagine, for 4 years, this interest rate is 0 because the case is in the court, and the people who had that money is money laundering. They are sending it through, transferring it through either banks or non-bank financial institutions. So the government had decided, according to the Prime Minister Uyghur, not to bankrupt and close this DBM, but instead this bank will operate as Exim Bank. Well, we should wait and see that, because just by changing the name, it will not work. And they should change the nature of the functioning. They should fight corruption. They should end this corruption and get money back, first of all, in order to have this Exim Bank normal working, and in order to pay that $800 million bond next year. And what happens recently is they have entire board of the bank is fired. Ex-CEO is rearrested. Some bad loan co-owners are also arrested, including Mongol Dry Milk CEO Batirten, because they have been using the money not for the purpose they have borrowed for, and it's a criminal case. So that's the second case I would want to share. The third one is about new railways. I raised the issue. I think it's very important because Mongolia is the only country where the railway infrastructure is owned by 2 governments. Government of Mongolia, government of Russia. There was a history 70 more than years ago that Russia made a railway, and decided they have agreed to co-own these railways, which kind of raising a big issue today, because for this line, about 1,000 kilometers long, if we have to connect our own railways to that joint venture railways, we need the permission of the Russian government, which by many people in the country is unacceptable. So I think this issue is of the future. But today, Mongolia has decided, it was announcement of last week by the government, 2 railway lines will be operating by the end of this year. 1, Tavon-Tolgoi, Zumbayang. Tavon-Tolgoi is the largest coke and coal mine in the country, very large reserve, and it goes down to the border directly to China, and it goes to east to Zumbayang, from which there will be another railway. This railway, Tavon-Tolgoi-Zumbayang, is already made. They will have the test of this railway operation mid of March, and they need some money, which is asked the Minister of Finance to release. I don't know from where, but they're going to release the money. Probably it will increase, of course, country's debt, which is no good for our U.S. Tugrik rate. But however, they will test that railway finally. And by the end of October, it is to be functioning. But another railway from Zumbayang down, we have only one international line in Mongolia. We have only one international port with China, which is real bottleneck of last 2 years, in particular with this pandemic, Olympic game, etc. And we have zillions of tons of cargoes staying at the border. And for times, some staying there for 6 months. So it's really bottleneck, you know. Before we had a bottleneck of this railway stations when Dalai Lama was visiting China, closed the border for unknown reason for a few days, and we had certain problems. And now we have even bigger problems. So we need another part with China, which is this railway line. It goes to Zumbayang, from Zumbayang to southwest Hangi, and the other side is called Mandal. In Mongolia, you know, the port names are all Mongolian names. So Hangi Mandal is the next second international port with China. International port means we can send and receive goods through China. So now it will be new gateway to Bogot city. Bogot is a city of China, which is one of the industrial largest center of growing China. There is a 10th largest in the world steel factory, which uses coking coal, which is a major part of our export, almost half of it. And today, because this railway bottlenecks, border issues, we cannot export enough. And meanwhile, Russia is exporting the same coal way more than us. And now with the growing relations between China and Russia, it will grow. But Mongolia, with this infrastructure, will have capacity to export more coal, probably up to 60 million tons a year. Today, we hardly export about 30 millions. Not only, by the way, coal, but also iron ore, which also goes at the end to this Bogota, the Chinese, how they call it in Chinese dialect. And the current railway goes from Zhanshan to Ireng, Zamingwu, then Jilin, then all the way makes turn to the west. And meanwhile, this new railway will make 318 kilometers shorter the current one, which is a lot benefit for sellers and buyers, and way cheaper, $4 to $8 per ton cheaper, according to the Minister of Road and Transportation. And this railway will have 2 stations and 4 passing by facilities. Because it's one line, in passing by means one stops on the side, this passing by line, then the other one goes. So we have 4 of them in between these 2 major stations at the port and in Zumbayang. And a railway, Ulaanbaatar Railway made the feasibility study, and it will be a concessions tender, which will be completed in very hurry. Next month, there will be concessions based on PPP, private-public partnership, and probably this is the only fastest way to make these railways. Now Mongolia has on good capacity of building railways, and hopefully after this completion of that railway, Mongolia will have better facility for our export and also import that we hope will increase, will bring more money, export earning, and which will bring more money for domestic use. So these are 3 events I would like to share today. And a week from now, I will do also in English this program. You know, I used to have this program in Mongolian and in English and in the Russian. My Russian program was in the Russian 2 cities before, but now I will do it only more probably in English. So thank you very much for your watching my program. If you liked it, please put on like and share it, because what's happening in Mongolia to be known by everybody who speaks English, who does not speak Mongolian, all around the world. So thank you very much for watching this program and see you next week. Bye now.